Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sonja J, and today I'm here with another Iyanla Fix My Life review. Ooh, excuse me. I had a burp at the wrong time. Anyways, Iyanla, like I said, regardless of what you think about her, she's doing some work. She's doing the best she can to help mend a lot of these black families, and I'm here for it. And these last two episodes that we watched, Raised by Monsters, I mean, can you imagine being forced to have sex with your brother and your sister as a child? Can you really imagine being forced to have sex with your brother or your sister as a child? Or all your brothers and sisters? Let's get into it, because it's a lot to talk about. All right, so honestly, I really wasn't going to do this review because I just felt like, honestly, these last two episodes is pretty self-explanatory. Like, if you watched it, which I'm sure you did, which is why you clicked on this video, you know, the things that you heard those people go through is pretty sick. You know, you got to be a real fucked up, sick person to force children. Okay, first off, let's start there. Children. Okay? Children. Okay, we all know what the definition of a child is, right? We know what a child is. Someone who's underage, who can't fend for themselves, can't defend themselves, can't take care of themselves. We know what that means, okay? You got to be a sick motherfucker to really force children to have sex with you. And you got to be like a demonic motherfucker to force children to have sex with their brothers and sisters just to eat. You gotta be a demonic motherfucker. Like, for real. You must have went through some shit to the point where you just gave up on life and was like, I don't give a fuck about myself or other people, and I'm just gonna be shitty and trashy for the rest of my life. I mean, there's nothing humane about that. To force children to have sex with you, and then on top of that, to force them to have sex with their own brothers and sisters. Like, there's nothing humane about that. I don't care what you say. Like, and I'm sure the person who forced them to do it was forced to do things too, you know, and that's sad and unfortunate. However, it's like, in life, we have choices. Regardless of what hand we're dealt, we have choices to make better decisions. So if we choose not to, then that's our choice. Granted, in some circumstances, people really are put in shitty situations where they have to make bad choices. And I understand that. But, you know, you have a choice. And I think when you force children to have sex with each other, especially their own brothers and sisters, you chose to do that. Whatever your reasoning behind that is, you chose to do that. And that's sick as fuck. But beyond that, you know, this episode, the part 2, you know, the mom came on and she told her story. And her story was sad too, you know? You know, her mom, I think she said like her mom, if I remember correctly, I think she said she was raised with her mom for a little bit. But no, she was raised by her grandmother. But her mom was a little bit in her life, but she wasn't really... Okay, she said that she was raised by her grandmother. Her mom was in her life for a little bit, but she kept choosing men over her. So she didn't raise her. So she was mainly raised by her grandmother. You know, she was molested and raped. Cycle continues. Got pregnant at 16. Prostituted at 16, and every year after that had another baby. Still prostituting, selling drugs, then became hooked on drugs at 19 years old with 4 children. Like, come on, man. Like, sometimes when I watch these Iyanla shows, it's just like, it's honestly hard to watch because it's just like, how much more trauma? And it's hard to watch, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? It ain't gonna hurt me to watch it, because at the end of the day, I'm thankful I didn't have to go through it. I'm thankful I'm just sitting here watching it rather than being on the screen telling that as it being my story. So I'm thankful I'm not on the TV telling that as my story. I'm thankful I didn't have to go through that. I'm thankful I'm just viewing it. But it's hard to watch. It's sad, to see all these black women, black men, these black people, these black families be so destroyed. And it's all because of drugs and poverty. And it's just sad, man. And it's like she even said, she told her mom and her grandmother that she was being molested and stuff, and they didn't do nothing. They didn't believe her, first off. They didn't believe her. They told her she was lying, she was crazy, and they made her look and feel crazy and like she was wrong. And, when you're fucking raped as a child, and you go and tell your fucking mom, and she tells you you're lying, or tells you you're crazy or you're wrong, like, how the fuck are you supposed to take that? It's bad enough you already went through it. Like, I don't even want to dissect it, but I'm going to just dissect it for a quick second. Think, you're an underage black girl growing up, already knowing that you live in the hood, live in poverty. You already know that you're a minority in this country and that you don't have equal opportunities as a lot of other nationalities and races in this world, more specifically white people. And then on top of that, you're being raped and molested by the people that are supposed to care about you in your community. And then you tell your mother that you're being raped and molested by someone in your community. And then she tells you that you're lying, you're crazy, and get the fuck out of here. How the fuck, how does that make you feel? How is that going to make you feel as a person and as a woman, as a young black woman, to know that somebody can come up and physically attack you and your own mother won't give a fuck? Nobody in your community gives a fuck. Your grandma, you take grandma, your grandma doesn't give a fuck. You're lying, you're crazy. No one in your community gives a fuck. She said nobody cared. And if I think about it too hard, I just might cry. Cause that's extreme, and you don't understand the depths, the emotional depths that can put on someone. How deeply emotional, how deeply depressing, how deeply insecure, how deeply unwanted, how deeply rejected a young black girl can feel when she already feels like she doesn't have the opportunities in this world, already living in poverty, already barely trying to make it, barely trying to survive, scratch and make it. Then on top of that, she's being sexually harassed and raped and molested in her own people in her community. More specifically, her grandmother and her mother didn't give a fuck and told her she was crazy and she was lying. Think of what type of mental toll that would do on you. Honestly, that's the type of shit that would make somebody want to do drugs, commit suicide, or go out there and put the same harm and hurt that was put on them to other people. Because hurt people hurt people. And so she turned to drugs. Actually, no, let's rewind. Ended up getting pregnant. And you know how the story goes. The guy never sticks around. And these are black men we're talking about. She has 5 children. All 5 of her children are black. Where's the fathers at? Nowhere. Of course, right? So, and every year she gets pregnant. She's 16, she gets pregnant her first child. What does she have to do to take care of her child? Because her mom doesn't give a fuck. Her grandma ain't gonna help her take care of it. They don't even care that she was raped. So she has to go, a young black girl who was raped at a young age and nobody gave a fuck. Then she turned around and got pregnant at 16. Nobody gives a fuck. So what does she have to do? Go prostitute. Her mom knows, doesn't give a fuck. Allows her to prostitute her body with her children. Every year this woman, 16 gets pregnant, then 17 gets pregnant, 18 gets pregnant, then 19 with twins. You're 19. Think about how hard that is. 19 years old, you're a black woman who's been raped, molested, treated like shit, nobody gave a fuck about you. Then you're 19 years old with 5 kids. You're prostituting because you have no choice That's the only way you can make money. You know how fucking mentally and emotionally disturbed one would be going through that? So she turned to drugs. That was the only way she could cope. And I know that sounds like, to a lot of people, that may sound like that's not an excuse, but when you're put in, when you have so much trauma in your life, sometimes you feel like there's no escape. And in her situation, that's exactly how she felt. There was no escape. Nobody, it's like, and it's like, I really want you to understand how detrimental this is. I don't want to cry, but like, there's a lot of black people, more specifically black women in this world, who have nobody to turn to when things happen. Like, nobody cares. And so they turn to prostitution, drugs, and it's just like, it's sad what a lot of black women go through, especially the ones that are in poverty. And, you know, this is another case of that. And I really, really felt for her when she told her story. I felt for her when she told her story, because you have to really sit there and think, what if that was me? What if that was you? Like, really think about that. What if that was you and you were molested and raped underage, and you go and tell your mother, you go and tell your grandmother, and tell you you're crazy, you're lying, that didn't happen, and they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. Then you turn around and get pregnant at 16, and your mom doesn't give a fuck, your grandma doesn't give a fuck to help you. You better take care of it on your own. You can't get a job because you're 16, so you prostitute. So you're raped and molested. Then at 16, you get pregnant. The father doesn't give a fuck. He leaves. Your mom and grandma doesn't give a fuck that you were raped and molested. They don't give a fuck that you're a young teenage mom. So they say, go do it on your own. So you got these two traumas. Then on top of that, now you got to prostitute and fuck for a living. Randoms. You were already raped as a child. Now you got to have sex with random men for money. Then that's a lot. That's a lot. Then on top of that, every year you have a new baby. I mean, what do you expect? She's prostituting for a living. You didn't think she was going to get pregnant again? She got pregnant 3 more times. So now you're 19 years old. You were raped and molested. Your mom didn't give a fuck. Your grandma didn't give a fuck. You had a prostitute at 16 because you were a new mom. Baby daddy didn't give a fuck because he's gone. Now you're 19 with 5 kids and all this trauma. That's hard. That is hard. That's hard for anybody to deal with. And then add on top of that being black and being a woman and being in poverty. Add all that up. Add all that up. And you tell me how you would deal with life. I'm not mad at the mom, and I don't blame her. I understand. I understand how what she did fucked up her kids. And those kids had to deal with a lot of bullshit too. And you know what? I don't blame her. And honestly, I kind of don't even really blame her mom, because I'm sure her mom went through the same thing. If you mean to tell me that she was raped and molested and her mom didn't give a fuck, then she told her grandma gave a fuck. So what do you think happened to her mother? I'm sure her mother was raped and molested too, and her mother didn't give a fuck. I mean, like the daughter said, she was molested twice by the same person. Or I don't know if it was 2 different people, but no, yeah, the same person. Because she said it happened second time, and he told her if she told again, he would kill her or whatever. So she was molested by the same person. And she told her grandmother, the same lady that her mother told, and she told her, you're lying, you're crazy. So you see the generational curses here? We got women who are being raped and molested, nobody to turn to. Then they have children. Same thing happens to their children. Even though she knows it happened to her, the children tell her, she said, no, it didn't happen. You're lying. You're crazy. Okay. So then this child has children. You see how the generational curses? Then the same thing happens. You see how these are generational curses? You see how when she said, I can't think of the mother's name, but when the mother said that her mother wasn't in her life because she was chasing men. Did you hear how her daughter said the same thing about her? She wasn't, and the son said it too. She wasn't in their life because she was chasing men and she was on drugs. You see that generational curse right there? And you see how she was raped and molested. And then even though her daughter, now the other kids, they were in foster care and stuff, so they were raped and molested there. But the daughter who was raised by the grandmother, who was raised in a normal home, and well, I don't know if it's normal if you're allowing your children to get raped and molested. That's not normal. But she was raised in a home with family that she knew, and she wasn't hungry and starving and stuff like how they were. But she said, you know, it happened to her. And the grandma didn't do nothing. So it's generational, you know? And it's really sad. And it goes to show you, watching this episode and also watching all the other Iyanla Fix My Life episodes, because Iyanla mainly focuses on black families. That's her, that's what she specializes in. That's the specific area of people that she counsels and helps with. So, with that being said, it just shows you how fucked up the crack epidemic fucked up the black community. Back then, what was that, 1970s, 1980s? Whenever that era when crack came out and was a big thing in all the hoods and the neighborhoods, I want to say the 80s. It fucked up a lot of black families. A lot of black families. And as you can see, there's still some lasting effects to this day. It fucked up a lot of black families back then, you know? Let's be real. Crack was mainly in the black neighborhoods because that's where the poverty was, in the black neighborhoods. So that's where they sent the crack to, the black poverty people. It fucked up a lot of homes, fucked up a lot of families. And that's why today you see a lot of black people walking around without fathers. Grown men, grown women that are like 30, 40 now, most of them will say they didn't have a father growing up because of the crack epidemic. And now you're seeing all the effects that it's had from watching like Iyanla Fix My Life. You know, most of these people were on drugs, and that's usually what leads to all the sexual abuse and all that, because nobody's really paying attention to the kids and raising the kids because they're too busy on drugs trying to get away from all of the tragedy and poverty that is keeping them emotionally and mentally unstable. And, you know, I'm just glad that Iyanla's here. I'm glad that this is a show because we need help in our families, in our communities. We need more counseling. We need more understanding for one another. We need more love and compassion for one another. We need more of that for ourselves. First off, actually, let's start there. We need more love and compassion for ourselves. Before I can love and care about you and what you're going through, I gotta love and care about myself and what I'm going through first. We have to learn how to love. I'm talking to black people. We talking to black people right now because Iyanla mainly specializes in black families. I'm black with a family. We talking to black people right now, okay? This is what we need to do. Because a lot of us don't got it. A lot of us don't have it, and we need it. We need to start loving and having compassion and understanding for ourselves. A lot of us don't love ourselves. A lot of us don't understand ourselves. You would be amazed at how many people are in this world. But right now I'm talking about black people since this is a show about black families. You'd be amazed about how many black men and women who don't love themselves, who hate themselves and their skin color and the color that they're in. Most of them will probably never admit it, or maybe they will one day when they actually, you know, love themselves and they're in a better headspace, and they'll probably admit it later. But usually don't admit it. But you can kind of see from the actions and the people company they keep, there's a lot of self-hate amongst black people. A lot of self-hate amongst black people. A lot of black people hate the color of their skin, hate the skin they're in, hate all the poverty, hate the neighborhoods they live in, the situations they're born in. A lot of black people. Because of all the historical tragedies that we've been through. You know, slavery, the crack epidemic, just a lot of things, you know. That's just two major things that I could talk about, but there's a lot of other things too. And so we need to start learning to love ourselves, okay? Have compassion and understanding for ourselves. We need to learn how to understand ourselves. Like, do you really even know yourself? Do you even really know yourself? Do you know what you like? Do you know what makes you happy, what makes you smile, what you enjoy, what you like to do? Do you, when you feel some type of way and you feel emotional, do you actually talk about it? Do you actually cry about it when you need to cry? Like, do you understand yourself? Do you really know yourself? Do you really love yourself and care about yourself? I feel like a lot of us don't. And we need to start doing that. We need to start learning how to love and care about ourselves. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. Go to Iyanla, shit. Go to Iyanla. Go somewhere. Because we need to do better. We got to start building ourselves back up. Because ain't nobody else going to do it. You got to build yourself. Ain't nobody else going to teach you and help you to love yourself. You got to learn how to do it on your own. You could go to counseling, you can go to therapy, and you can get help with it. But if you choose to just not give a fuck and to not put in the work, then you're just always going to be miserable. You know? And Iyanla is a great show, and she gives a lot of great tools. But like she says all the time, which is true, none of everything I'm teaching you right now, everything she be teaching these people, everything that you learn in counseling, therapy, whatever, it's great to hear the tools. It's great to do the exercises. But it will not work and manifest if you don't put in the work, okay? You can't expect your therapist, or you can't expect Iyanla, or you can't expect whoever you have that's helping you to do all the work. You have to put in the work because it's for you. You know, you can receive the tools, but you have to use them. And we need to start doing that. You know, we got to start holding ourselves accountable. Let's start loving ourselves more. Let's start understanding ourselves more, learning more about ourselves, so that once you love and understand and have compassion and care for your own self, then you can have love, understanding, compassion for other people. So let's work on ourselves so we can do better. And I feel like with this episode, it just reminded me of how much our community is still pretty fucked up. A lot of our black families are not structured the way it should, you know. And there's a lot of fathers missing in the homes. There's a lot of mothers who are there, but in some cases not there mentally and emotionally, because there's so much poverty and there's so much that they have to do as single mothers, and, you know, just dealing with so much that it's hard for them to really be there for their children. And so, and I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody, but I'm just calling it as I see it. And the real problem is there's a lot of self-hate because of all the historical events that happened in this country. A lot of black people have self-hate within themselves. And because of that, they make horrible choices and horrible decisions. That's why a lot of black people in the 80s were on crack, because there was so much trauma, tragedy, poverty. They felt that was the only way they can escape. Not making excuses for them, because in the end, they fucked up their children's lives. But I understand why they did it. I understand why it happened, you know? And so with that being said, we just got to learn to love ourselves more, because there's too much self-hate in our community. And because of that, we're losing. And honestly, we're allowing the people who put us in this predicament, the white supremacists, we're allowing them to win, because we're killing ourselves in the process. Emotionally, mentally, physically, we're hurting each other. And don't get me wrong, okay? There is poverty, there is killings, there's violence in other races and nationalities too. You know, black people aren't the only people killing each other and hurting each other. However, ours is more known, and there's more black people in poverty. There's more black hoods. There's more of that known because we have a lot of self-hate. And whether we realize it or not, it's being portrayed out into society and out into the world. That's why we're treated the way we are. That's why things are set up the way it is, because there's a reason for everything. The supremacists did this for a reason, and they did it a certain way, and they knew what they were doing, and we fell for it. So we got to do better, okay? We got to stop with all the self-hate. We got to do better. We got to start doing better. We got to love ourselves, understand ourselves, get to know ourselves, have compassion for ourselves so that we can love, understand, and have compassion for others, so that we can be better fathers, so that we can be better mothers, so that we can be in our children's lives emotionally, physically, mentally, not just be there, but actually be present in what they're doing in school, you know, how their day was, know what's going on. You know, we should know more about our kids. We should know more about each other. We gotta do better, okay? We gotta do better. We gotta structure our families better. You know, come on, black people. I know we can do it. I know it's not gonna happen overnight, but it can happen. We just gotta do it. So, you know, this episode was a lot. These last 2 episodes, it was really sad. You know, I pray for them and their whole family. I hope things do get better. I hope that they do actually rekindle their relationship with one another. And I just pray that black families are really watching these Iyanla Fix My Life episodes and are really taking notes and trying to do better for themselves. Because I know I am. I be watching Iyanla. I take notes physically and also mentally in my head. And I be like, okay, yeah, I got to do better. Yeah, I can't do that no more. You know, we got to do better. And we got to be better mothers. We got to be better fathers to our children so that we can raise young black queens and black kings. I mean, what those people did to those children were disgusting, but hurt people hurt people. So we just got to do better. We got to get out of poverty. We got to stop with all this self-hate. And yeah, so I got to go. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to. Sorry this video was so long. I just had to talk about it real quick. I wasn't really going to do this this review reaction, whatever, but I just felt like I had to do it real quick. Just got it off my chest real quick. It's off. So subscribe to my channel if you want to. Hit that bell button if you want to stay notified with all of my videos, because normally when I post a video, I post multiple at a time. As you can see, I did that today. So subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Click that bell button if you want to stay notified. Like this video if you like it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to talk about this episode and you want to, you know, make a topic about it or whatever, comment down below. Just be respectful. And I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.